Chapter 9, Kailani. Kailani sat very still in the university library, yet feeling like a lightning bolt had passed through her nervous system. The simple words in the very prosaic encyclopedia that she read seemed to underscore this particular subject's brilliance. She was reading about a great poetess named Kavindra Sharma, who was the youngest winner, in history at 23, of the Pulitzer Prize for Poetry. She had died at 24 from a leg infection that was a holdover from a terrible accident where she lost her friend Morgan. Kailani had become interested to know more about her after she had read some of Kavindra's poetry. It was the most beautiful, moving art of words she had ever encountered. Kailani shuddered at this spectacular but oh-so-short life. She used the touch screen to move the encyclopedia's pages, but quickly grew frustrated with the lack of character that the computer screen afforded. So, she went to the automated librarian and asked for the actual book copy of the encyclopedia for St. and was allowed access to a climate-controlled room. She had never been in here before, and the room was quite vast, but well labeled. The encyclopedia section was off to her right, and the book she was looking for began moving out of its holder by about 3 inches, and a green light underneath it began to blink. She tried taking the book out, but a voice said, "Please show school registration number," in a pleasant female voice. Kailani swiped her armband underneath a laser eye, and then the voice prompted, "Please press identifying fingerprint onto the blue pad." So, she pressed her thumb and clearance was given. She then held the book, a real book, such a rarity these days. She had only held 5 actual books in her life, but had read 1,000. The university rules allowed for the removal of 3 books per student over the course of their tutelage, no matter how long their stay at the university was. She swooned over the feel of it, the weight of it. It was so very old, having been written in 1995, over 120 years ago. It had a great effluvium, a combination of ink and paper breaking down over time with other organic materials. Its essence was like that of lying in the warm grass on a humid New Orleans day where Mom's vanilla cookies were wafting through the air. The feeling of excitement that holding the book evoked in her was nothing like the mundane, cold feeling of a built-in, university, computer book reader. She took the book back out to the library lobby, and found a place more suitable for the reading of a real book, a soft couch by a wall light that cast symmetrical, skinny snakes down the wall. She read the entire entry on Kavindra, which was 3 pages long. It was very unusual to have so much information about a poetess, but it turns out that she was even more popular after her death, and people held ceremonies for her that stretched around the entire world. There was even an unofficial poetry day made in her honor to be each year on the day of her birth, August 11th. At 20 years old, Kailani had lived in the United States all her life and had never even known about that. "You'd think we'd read a poem or 2 on such a day, at least at university," she thought. But the reality was that poetry was a fine art that was falling into more and more disuse. Some universities weren't even teaching the subject anymore. Well, never the mind, Kailani vowed to not let that day go unnoticed by her, ever again. Later, Kailani went to her tiny, efficient dorm, and from under her bed she pulled out her most precious artifact, a real book, a paperback copy of Talking for Morgan by Kavindra Sharma. She had been reading and rereading it so much that the book cover had become a bit dog-eared, but that only added to its character, for only a real book could show these types of signs of wear, of intellectual curiosity and fascination. She lied down on her fold-down bed and read one of Kavindra's poems aloud. "There was a place that I thought, sorrow must know this not, for no one has grief such as I. Into your sparkling last eye, I saw you smile before bye-bye, was forever a word just formed on my tongue. My hand had not even begun to reach for you at our end run, the reluctant flyer, I was pulled away. I couldn't move from where I lay, on the side of that awful highway, in direst pain, I only thought of you. I think I moved an inch or 2 in your direction, but I knew, my heart was becoming a closed space. I cried out your name in silent embrace, and pleaded with the sun to erase my memory, so unwanted but still mine. And then men stood over me with eyes as signs, they dared not define my grief at being without you. But, radios the silence broke through, and I screamed inside from the picture they drew, DOA, my friend, I would never see you again. Wow, thought Kailani, and fell asleep with the book against her heart.